So welcome to another episode of Bench Talk. I haven't actually moved since we recorded the last episode. I haven't actually done anything in the last 2 weeks, just been sinking cans and putting some bets on the horse racing. What about you, Jordo?
You look a little dishevelled there, Laura. We've got to wear these masks inside, don't we? Isn't that the law?
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's coming out, but these are full boost face masks if you need one.
Hey, full boost face mufflers, Jordo.
Face mufflers.
Yeah.
So surprisingly, I sent some to Queensland during the week. I don't even think they need to wear them, but maybe someone's a bit expecting the outbreak to unleash up there. Yeah, Queensland, yeah.
Queensland. Have they even got an outbreak up there? The only thing they've got is AFL players. You know, they're allowed to go across the border, aren't they? Do whatever they want up there.
AFL, do what they want. But in Queensland, lucky bastards, I think it's this weekend they're running Power Cruise.
Power Cruise.
What are we doing in Victoria? Jack squat.
The only skid marks you're going to see in Victoria are in your jocks. That's it.
Now, Lua, you're looking a bit dishevelled. I also noticed a few comments online. You were like, some before and after. I won't go into it, but what is going on with you? You don't look in a good state.
I'm fine. Like I said, I'm going to the bottle shop every day. I think they open at 9:30 now. Got to get those essential drinks in.
I reckon mixed cola cans and LS the world go together. What do you reckon?
Pretty much. But yeah, like I said, I haven't moved. I haven't actually left this chair in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. When did we record the last one? 2 weeks ago? I don't even know what day it is, Jordo.
Apparently you spend more time on car sales, you reckon, than YouTube. You've been looking at, you're always sending me cars. What's this worth? What's that worth?
I've got, I'm on car sale for our overseas viewer. I don't think that we've got too many overseas viewers when it comes to Bench Talk.
It's our biggest automotive sales site, whether it's, they have new cars and second-hand cars.
But you've got other places like Facebook Market and that, but people buy cars. But let's be honest. If you can't cough up $50 to sell your car, it's probably you're probably not getting a stellar piece of equipment, are you?
Oh, would you look at this?
Yeah, well.
Would you look at that?
Yeah, but there's so many. I've just been looking at everything. I always keep an eye on the price of so many cars. I've got a keen eye on, so that when one comes up, you know straight away whether it's a good deal. And also, I'm always just on the lookout for. I want to buy something. I want to buy a bit of a project car, but it has to be a street car. I'm not interested in a race-only car. Me personally, it doesn't interest me, and not at this point in my life. I want something I could drive to the track, have a bit of fun. But I have no idea what to buy. But look, I would prefer a Japanese car. I just like something that steers a bit better. I don't know. I don't mind Commodores and Falcons, but
Ford Falcon, simply stunning.
I don't really. They've never been at the top of my list in terms of cars I want to buy.
But JDM cars, no matter what it seems these days, is going up in value. I've been thinking about buying an Evo 5 or a 6. I'm not really. I don't think I'd buy the 7 onwards, just because it's just getting a bit.
Here's
big.
the deal, Jordo. Here's the deal.
The boat.
You ain't buying no Evo 5 and 6, ever. You got to commit to that. You got to commit to that right now, because in 3 years' time, those cars are going to be 75 Australian.
Not a joke. Not a joke. Fact. Not a joke. Fact. Not a joke. Not a joke. No, think about it. I'm not joking.
Yeah, I need a garage. It's just because I cannot buy a car and let it sit out in the rain. Forget it.
That's the number one problem I have. Like, you think you could buy a couple of new cars. Where do I put them? I need to get a factory.
Especially if you have, say, a 90s car and you let it sit outside, that car's just rotting. It's just they're 25 years old or whatever they are. They're not going to like sitting out there rust. Forget it. But anyway, the prices have gone up heaps. An Evo 5 or a 6 here, even a pretty stockish car that's neat, but I wouldn't say it's fantastic. They're getting up near 30 grand now, pretty much all of them. And so many of them have a few, they have basic ones. They're all 30, 35 grand.
And the rest, Jordo.
It's getting silly. I mean, the biggest price we've seen, absurdity, is R34s. Now, most of these prices have gone up due to the USA bringing in JDM cars. Look at even the older Evos. The Evo threes, especially, they're all 30 grand.
That's not
as long as the car's neat.
sugarcoating it. Have you noticed every big YouTube star is getting onto the 90s Japanese JDM cars that obviously were never sold in America? The prices are going through the roof.
They're not sold there, so they're like they're so special for them over there because they've never had them on the road.
And they're storing these cars in Japan, waiting for their 25-year rule. And because obviously, you know, the R34, Mr. Paul Walker, the Fast and the Furious.
Skyline GTR 誕生。車の喜びを日産です。
I saw the other day there is an R34 GTR, very low kilometre, don't get me wrong, it is flawless, this car. It's for sale. It's, I think they're asking $550 or $555.
Something ridiculous.
550 grand for a Skyline.
And didn't one sell
Australian,
through the Japanese auctions? Didn't one go from Japanese auctions direct to the USA? Didn't it sell, I don't know, a month or two ago, whenever it was? Wasn't that like 450 it went for?
Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
On the first cow here, who's got 55, 55,
But like, I was having a look on there, there was like for example, a GC8 in Australia they sold, could be wrong, I think it was about 400 odd two-door STIs in the GC8 shape. Australian delivered
You're talking
cars.
about Imprezas, just to for people who aren't Subaru guys.
WRX Imprezas, but the two-door in the first sort of WRX shape, the GC8, factory two-door STI. I think there was one on there the other day for, and this is a car that's, I think it had over 200,000 Ks, so it's not like it's, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it, but it's not like it's been cocooned its whole life, it's been driven. I think they're asking 80. Now a car is worth what anyone's willing to pay for it. I'm just saying, you know, those prices were unheard of a few years ago.
Yeah, all the Tommy Mackin and Evo 6.5s, they're all 50 plus. Now, of course, the red one is the sought after one. They're all, forget it, 60, 70, 80.
One car I've always liked, I have not driven one in at least 10 years, probably 15 years I reckon, since I've driven the second gen Toyota MR2 that had the factory 3S engine in it. I haven't driven one of them in a long, long time. But I don't mind them, and I've thought about it. Don't get me wrong, if you do anything on the internet, oh, I've done that, this mob done that, I don't care. You build a car for your liking. I've always liked the idea of doing the K-swap MR2.
I was about to say, there's only one swap you do. That's the K-swap, isn't it?
No, look, you could power up the 3S, but because it's been done, you know, to death in the States, you can buy, you know, conversion kits and
these Honda K-series engines are incredibly strong. They're awesome motors. I can see why people are doing them. The layout suits an MR2. Obviously, that's why they're used. They,
you know, obviously rear-engined. They get the power down well. They don't really have traction issues like a, you know, bloody Honda Civic. But I like the idea of doing that conversion. I've just been looking, just keep my eye on those prices. You're talking like 15 grand for a naturally aspirated MR2. And this is something that's not, I wouldn't say it's immaculate. You know what I mean? It's just what you'd call an average MR2.
So were they
standard.
ever... Were they only ever sold NA in Australia?
I'm pretty sure. I don't think we got the turbo version at all. They call them in Australia. They call them a Bathurst edition. I don't even know. I mean, readers probably could tell me what that means. But look, there are a few on there that are turbocharged. Now I don't know whether they're NA.
Hang on.
Hey,
what happened to the RX-8?
Huh?
What happened to the RX-8? Now you're talking MR2s. Everyone's expecting this RX-8.
The problem I have with an RX-8,
you've got to give what people want, an RX-8.
If you buy one for like, say, 5 grand, it's a bucket of it's a POS, right? Rough as. Now, every car I've ever owned has generally been fairly neat. Like I've always paid at the higher end of that model. I'd rather buy the model beforehand in mint condition than buy the newer one that's rough. I just can't stand having an average car, like in terms of I buy one that someone hasn't just treated that well. So you can buy a rough RX-8 fairly cheap, or you can buy, everyone says you buy the Series 2, I think it is the GT version. They're like 15 grand, for example, right? I don't think I can pay 15 grand for a Mazda RX-8.
Mazda RX-8.
Do you know what I mean? Because then you look at it, right, and you go, what am I going to do with this car? It's bog slow, standard. I'm going to want to put some boost in it. As far as I'm aware, the standard engines, if you make 300 horsepower, you're probably on the limit there.
Forget turbocharging an RX-8 engine, the Renesis.
I think an RX-8 would be mint with an LS in it. As a track car, like street track car.
You wouldn't put like a Cosmo 13B in it? Can that be engineered? Is it the emissions?
The engines are too old. You can't put an older engine in a newer car.
Yeah.
But hey, that's...
No, it's not the reverse of everyone.
That's where you're bringing an LS into the fray. They're not that expensive, obviously, to buy. The problem I have with an RX-8, an LS RX-8 would probably be, I'd say, it'd be a pretty damn nice car to drive, but they just look... That Mazda global look they had sort of in the noughties, it just has never grown on me.
With its mid-engine configuration, dual overhead cam, V6, all aluminum construction, and a host of technical innovations.
I remember too, Honda NSXs, they're all here like 150 grand, 100 grand. Now I remember they were like 40 grand for a while. Now forget it. I mean, they're a great looking car. They're timeless. They're a bit like an FD RX-7.
Plenty of those going for around 200 grand. Yeah, I remember when they were 40 grand. It was a while ago, but still, it was like, gee, that's a lot of money. 40 grand for one of those.
And one thing I've noticed on car sales too, it just astounds me. You'll see a car advertised, whether it's a Evo 5 or a late model car, whatever it is, 40 grand. No roadworthy. Doesn't come with a roadworthy. Now, for overseas viewers, that's just like a...
It's an inspection. It's an inspection slip.
And you need one to transfer your car into your name to say the car's been inspected and it's obviously safe to drive. And they go over the basics of the car. Now, so many cars, no roadworthy certificate. Because it also screams out, then what's wrong with the car? I'm buying a car.
But also, you can't generally get an inspection slip certificate if the car's modified.
No, but I mean, the classic line is, I don't have time to get a roadworthy certificate, which is just...
Jordo, if I see a car, in all honesty, that is going for more than 10 grand without a roadworthy, I just go next. Don't even give it a second chance, because the thing is, why can't you get a roadworthy?
Yeah.
If it's a cheap car, like a sub $10,000 car, I can understand, but every car I've ever bought, even a cheap one, I've got a roadworthy with. Now, I'm always looking at car sales, Jordo, but no, I shouldn't say from time to time. There's so many nice cars on car sales.
Unique cars.
That, you know, when you... unique cars, and you always... It's cars that you go, wow, I wouldn't have even thought about owning that car, but how nice is that? I'd drive that. Now, how nice is this BMW?
1971 model, and I think he's put in an E36 drivetrain. So an E36 is the popular M3 back in the day.
Oh, it's not so much the drivetrain, but just the quality of the build. Yeah. That is a nice looking car.
It reflects in the price.
A lot of our younger viewers may not remember the CSV cars.
Corsa special vehicles.
Corsa special vehicles.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, Jordo, at the time when they came out, most of their cars were rated slightly above HSV.
They were faster, yeah.
In terms of power and performance. The body kits never quite looked... Oh, I shouldn't say that, because that's personal taste.
Yeah, they're a bit different,
They were fairly well finished off cars. They're a bit different. But yeah, there's this one. I found a Ute on there. I didn't think it was that expensive. No, I'm just saying, I think, how much was that car? It was like 15 grand?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I looked at that and go, 15 grand. What does 15 grand get you now in terms of trying to build a car?
You could buy a Toyota Yaris. Oh no, hang on, wait. As we mentioned last week, that's gone up 9 grand. That's 20-something grand.
9 grand. Oh. Or you could buy a BARRA taxi and do that and... That's all you'd hear. I mean, to be honest, I think I'd rather... Those side mount blowns, holding 5 litres, they sound mint when they're set up.
They had the killer whistle on idle.
I looked at that car, Jordan, and I was like, yeah, I could drive that.
I can't even imagine you driving that thing.
Maybe we should check it out. But this is what it always comes down to, because all the thing is, there's so many times I think, yeah, I could buy that, right? But I think I don't necessarily want to sell one of my other cars at this point. So then you think, because for me, I'm like, I've got nowhere to put it.
No, and that's part of the reason why
I mean?
I probably haven't really taken it seriously buying another car. Because it's like, you need room to store these things. It's like, I don't really want to sell my GSR just because I buy another car. Well, why should you? You want to get it back. Anyway, that's that's first world problems. I don't have a 4-car garage. That's the issue.
Haven't you been looking... it keeps coming back, Jordo. We need to just get a full boost factory.
Full boost factory.
the fullBOOST factory, when a few people have floated the idea to me, and George No Mang was one of them, said, why don't you just move to Queensland and open up the fullBOOST factory?
At least they're not in stage 4.
When's that going to happen? Old mate Dan's going to let us out, what, 2 years' time?
And it will not be changing. It will not be changing.
Anyway, I don't want to talk about that because it just makes me livid.
Now, you see, there's Ford Performance electric Mustang. So you'd know Ford Performance. I think they're responsible for the Cobra Jet one.
The same as it's the Ford version. It's the Ford version of the Copo Camaro.
That's right. And so they've got an 8-second Mustang that runs. I don't know what its best time is, but it runs, I think, mid to high 8s. And they came out with this all-electric one, 1,500 horsepower. $827 at 168 mile an hour, and I actually found a clip of them running them side by side with the petrol car.
On the right, and here we go. Big wheel stand out of the E-car there. As you can see, Petragon had a slightly better reaction time.
And you watch and you just think, how good does that electric car sound? It's interesting, and you watch how they launch. The electric car has got so much torque, it just cannot take off with the wheels on the ground.
So it's got a fairly big sort of a single mono bar on the back, isn't it?
Yeah, it runs out of steam. Not runs out of steam, but the petrol car is obviously a bit more going it. But up top,
I'll be interested to know
cool.
what it runs to mid-track, that electric car. Because they do generally fall over a bit. But gee, 168 is not bad.
It always cracks me up when the electric cars do the burnout, because all this smoke and it's all happening, and all you hear is this whisper, and you kind of go like, what?
If that's the future of drag racing, you're not going to have to wear ear mufflers, are you?
Now, this BMW driver in Germany, recently, he flipped the bird on a speed camera on the Autobahn. He was doing 81 in a 70 zone, and normally this would only be like a $30 fine. Bit cheaper.
$30.
$30. But instead, because he was being rude...
Don't be rude.
He got fined $2,600 and lost his license for a month. Bit harsh. Luke, you remember when you went in, got a Rex's codename Betty, the 12,000 RPM development car? The Impreza.
Oh, the little red Impreza, yeah.
Little red Impreza revving its ass off. Kinda pointless when you can see the power band slow down after 7,500. Better off shifting. You can clearly see the RPM jolt up much quicker from 5 to 8 than 8 to 12. With anti-lag, I would rather shift and make my engine last longer than a month. Because he's got all the insights in this car.
Anti-lag.
How's anti-lag going to help? How's anti-lag going to help reliability? You serious?
Hang on, so you're supposed to have the anti-lag come on at 7.5, or? I went for a ride in that car around Sandown, and it doesn't fall off at 7,000 RPM. That engine had a power band basically from 6 to 12,000 RPM.
Actually, I remember when that video went online too, everyone thought it was fake.
You are fake news.
The gearbox wouldn't be able to deal with it and blah, 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 because there's no way that gearbox is designed for that sort of speed. And it's true.
The gearbox did blow up.
It wasn't like after they posted a picture of the gearbox, it looked like a grenade went off in this thing.
Now that car is, the guys have done a bit more work on that car, so expect to see a bit of an update soon.
The motor on that throttle body has the ability to open that from 0 to fully open in 75 milliseconds. I don't know too many cable systems that can actually, if you stomp on the pedal, can go that fast.
I can guarantee I can snap a cable throttle body open faster than drive-by-wire any day. Mondeo, right, had a bit of doughy throttle, and I didn't like it at all. I just thought it was... Sometimes it'd take off and punch, and you're like, oh. And then the next time you do seem to do the same thing, and it was lazy. And you could tell it was the throttle, it wasn't the engine. And I didn't understand enough about it until, I hate to say it, I got the Renault. and I played with the settings because you can change the throttle response on it, and all of a sudden I went, it's like a different car to drive when you change the settings. It's actually amazing.
Well, you can buy a throttle controller to fit on any car.
Exactly.
And I've driven a couple of cars where you just put it back, you just turn it off, so it's standard OE, and then you turn it on, and you can adjust it how sensitive you want, and the difference is
worth every cent. If you can't, obviously, if the car doesn't have modes where you can do that,
they're common on diesels. You see them on Thailand tractors a bit. Jordo, I see you've been busy doing another design, another fullBOOST retro design.
New design out, fullBOOST, another retro design, inspired by the 80s, I guess, even though it says established 1997, because that's how old we are. But I remember doing this 80s style, physically using an airbrush, doing this font in graphics class, probably in the early 90s. So get on them, they'll definitely be on the shop by the time you see this. Now, big news for Victorian drag racing here is Heathcote Park Raceway. You would have seen us upload thousands, probably 1,000 videos, who knows, from Heathcote Park Raceway over the years. We've been going there since over 20 years. And it's just sold hands. So Russell, who we know very well, obviously, over the years...
Sold hands, says it, Jordo.
Say that again.
What did I say? Sold hands? Changed hands.
Say that again meme going right in there, right?
But anyway, Lance Warren has bought the track. Now, if you don't know who Lance Warren is, I recognise that name straight away when I saw he was into the R35s. He was 3roto.com days. Now, these were the days we were on dial-up, downloading videos, and he had a 20B. It was unheard of from New Zealand. So if you're middle-aged like us, you may remember that name. But anyway, he has a 7-second R35 and an even quicker one that's built. I think it's just waiting to go to the track now. He has bought Heathcote Park Raceway.
The 7-second one, Jordo, the 7-second one's just the lazy street car. Get it right.
Just a lazy street car, yeah. But anyway, he's bought the track and he plans to resurface the track, the return road pits. He's got huge plans for this place, new timing boards, just bring it into the 21st century. That's awesome news.
I like going, you know, I'll go to any drag strip, but there's something about Heathcote. It's probably my favourite racetrack in Australia.
It's easy to film at. It's very relaxed, how the racers can all speak to each other.
You know the best thing about Heathcote, Jordo? You get to leave Melbourne. Overpopulated Melbourne.
Heathcote would be stage 3 compared to our stage 4 at the moment.
Is that Volkswagen stage 3 or stage 4?
Stage 3 plus.
So we've got the snap, crackle and pop tune at the moment, stage 4.
Oh, serious stuff, stage 4. Ghost cams, everything.
You know what's amazing about the news about Heathcote? Because you and I, let's be honest, from a media point of view, we've done it a little bit tough compared to some other people who film interstate. They don't realise how good they've got it, don't you think?
And even before COVID kind of hit here, we had a lot of problems with the drag strips. There wasn't a lot of drag racing going on regardless, and now it's just 2020 has been a complete schmozzle for us. Yeah,
but really, not much has happened in 20 years in terms of drag racing in
Victoria. You're going back that? Yeah, I know what you mean. We haven't had Group 1 racing in Victoria properly, I remember going there in the late 90s. They have had some random rounds over the years, but it just doesn't exist down here because our tracks aren't up to standard.
No. Really, hardly anything has happened in 20 years, and now, in the last 6 months, you've got the 2 biggest tracks in Victoria sort of being upgraded, which is fantastic news for the scene, because as everyone knows, not just the drag racing scene, but generally the motorsport scene in general, it's like 1 degree of separation. And any money going into that, like, the industry is so far-reaching in terms of you can be involved in the race scene in so many different facets.
Yeah. But I mean, when racing returns to Melbourne, which realistically may not be until early next year, the rate we're going, at least there's going to be some big upgrades to these tracks done. Maybe not done by then, but you know what I mean? Like, racing's only going to improve from now on. And we may actually see a lot of fast Victorian cars actually run numbers here instead of always heading up north. But
also, Jordo, I'd like to give a big personal thank you to Russell Clark from Heathcote.
Yep.
He's been very generous to yourself and I over the last, 20 odd years.
Yep. He's supported us as much as we've supported him.
So well done and all the best for the future.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Russell.
that drags down at Springvale Junction where I live.